Hello and welcome to Reuters Events Global Energy Transition 2024 here in New York. My name is Shakun Tilasantharan. With me now is Bill Newsom, President and CEO of Mitsubishi Power Americas, which specializes in power generation and energy storage solutions. Welcome, Bill. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So, Bill, what's Mitsubishi's commitment to decarbonization?
So I'm proud to be with Mitsubishi Power Americas for 20 years now, and we're a wholly owned subsidiary of Mitsubishi Heavy. And as a company, we've committed to net zero by 2040. And so why are we doing that? We're doing that so we can develop technologies and solutions to enable our customers to meet their 2050 decarbonization goals.
Tell us more what your strategy is around decarbonization.
We have a three-pillared strategy. The first pillar is to create a hydrogen ecosystem, and the second is to create a decarbonize existing infrastructure, and the third is to create a CO2 ecosystem. And so we bring technologies and solutions and real projects today across all three of those pillars, which allows us to de-risk some of these energy transition projects that are right now in the marketplace.
So we were talking earlier about a significant rise in demand for electricity, unprecedented, you said.
Yes, yes.
Tell us, your insight into this.
Sure. It's an enormous challenge ahead of us, and I really look at it as an opportunity. And let's put some numbers behind it. We're looking at about 6% year-over-year average electricity growth in the entire United States. So, and that's on average. So some regions and areas are higher and some are lower. Traditionally, over the last decade, we've seen about 0.5% to 1 or 2% electricity growth, demand growth. So now we're looking at 2 to 6 times that growth. And so what's causing that? Three key areas. The first is reshoring of manufacturing. So post-IRA announcement from the U.S. government, we've had 300 new manufacturing facilities announced in the United States. The second is electrification of everything that's possible. So we're working to do that. And the third is a big topic, which is this next generation AI learning centers. And that's really been a big topic for maybe the last 15 months or so.
Why are they such a big topic? What do they mean for the energy transition?
So very good question. And I'm talking to customers every day all around the United States of how they're seeing this demand growth in their region, utilities, for example. We've got these tech companies, AWS, Google, Meta, they're all installing these next-gen AI data centers. And so if you think of, we've been doing data centers for a decade, almost 15 years, and they've grown, initially they grew, and then they continue to grow on a, 0.5% per year type of growth. And now we're seeing data centers just take a spike up. And the reason they're doing that is a couple reasons. The electricity to drive it is really the biggest linchpin in order to realize these learning centers. And if you think of a Google search you used to do, and it took X amount of electricity or energy, now we're talking on these learning centers, the same command would take maybe 20 to 40% additional electricity demand, depending on what you've asked the system to do for you. So these large facilities are taking up a lot more computing energy as well as cooling energy. Recently, the CEO of Georgia Power, we had our first nuclear power plant to go commercial in the United States in over 15 years at Plant Vogtle. And the CEO, Kim Green, I talked to her recently, and she had a statement and said, we've got this almost 1,000 megawatt facility, nuclear facility, clean energy, that can power over 1 million homes or one data center. Think about that for a moment. We're talking about almost a gigawatt of energy, and you could use that to power all of these new large-scale learning centers.
Wow, okay, so innovation clearly is key,
Yes.
right, to moving us in the right direction in the energy transition. What innovations, technologies do you think are critical here?
Well, let me talk about some real projects that we're doing, and I want to hit on those 3 pillars. I'm going to come back to that. And so right now, today, out in Delta, Utah, we are using a technology to create green hydrogen. So we're out in Delta, Utah, we've got a project called ACES Delta, Advanced Clean Energy Storage Hydrogen Hub. It's the largest and first to get to FID in the world. And we're about
FID being?
Financial decision, investment decision. So basically financial closure and start building. We are on schedule to be commercially operational first quarter next year, and we'll be a utility scale project. So let me give you more background. We're going to take curtailed renewables. So curtailed means ones that aren't being used in the shoulder months. There's too much of it. We're going to convert it to hydrogen via electrolyzers. And we'll take water, we'll split it into hydrogen and oxygen, and then we'll store the hydrogen in these massive salt caverns we've drilled called salt caverns. And they're the size of the Empire State Building, by the way. We're here in New York. And then we'll blend that with natural gas into a combined cycle power plant. And we'll get to eventually 100% hydrogen, zero carbon emissions, dispatchable power. So Intermountain Power is right across the fence from this project, and they're shutting down 800 megawatts of coal and repowering with renewably fueled green hydrogen that we'll be supplying this project for. And so excited about that technology to bring 24/7, 365 dispatchable clean generation. And that's what these AI data centers need, because they want to be clean, but they've got to have base load generation. And that's the challenge today, because when the wind's not blowing and the sun's not shining, they still need to run. So we're working on clean base load generations. And then the second pillar of technologies. So we're developing technologies that we can go into existing infrastructure. Georgia Power last year, we partnered with EPRI, and we were able to take 6 gas turbines for their facility outside of Atlanta and just blend 30% hydrogen and demonstrate that we can lower emissions on existing infrastructure. And then the third is this third pillar on CO2. So we talked about hydrogen on the front end, zero carbon with hydrogen, and then on the back end. So in Decatur, Illinois, we're working on a project that's in FEED right now with ADM is a food processing company, and Warwick Carbon Solutions. So they have a coal plant that provides all the electrons and steam for their food processing. They have to shut it down by 2030. So we are going to repower with a natural gas-fired combined cycle unit, and then we're going to put our carbon capture technology on the tailpipe. We're going to strip out all that CO2 emissions, pipe it over to ADM. ADM owns the only 2 Class 6 wells that have been in operation storing CO2 for a decade now. So it's another utility scale project that we can bring baseload generation continual and reduce the CO2 emissions. So those are some of the technologies we're working on to bring to bear in today's market now.
So that's technological innovation.
Yes.
What about partnerships, people, right? The dynamics between people. What strategies do you use to leverage partnerships, relationships, and how important are those for the transition?
As a company, we've recognized that we have an amazing challenge in front of us. In the next 30 years, less than 30 years, we've got to create a whole new decarbonized infrastructure system. And so the way we're going to do that, one company can't do that alone. We have to leverage our partnerships. So at Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, we're experts in wind, in sea and land and air, but we're not so much experts underground. So out in ACES Delta, we're partnered with Chevron and WSP because they're experts underground drilling these big facilities and operating them. In Decatur, Illinois, we're leveraging ADM and Warwick for CO2 sequestration. And so these partnerships is what we must count on to leverage and de-risk these projects, bring the right people involved in these projects. I've heard the term coopetition. We traditionally would be competing with them, and we're coming together for the same common goal. And I think that's what's really going to help us move and meet this net zero goal by 2050.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with other industry professionals who are on their decarbonization journey?
Yes, and thank you for asking that. One that I wanted to come back to is a little bit of the technology and what we're doing in Takasago, Japan. You've been to Japan, and we have a proving ground. So our DNA is that we must test and verify before we bring a commercial project technology to market. So we have the world's first hydrogen park in Takasago, Japan. We have a 101 combined cycle power plant there that we prove out all our technologies. And this hydrogen park, we spent over $50 million, and we're going to test 4 different hydrogen production technologies, above ground storage, and then utilization. So it's hard to pick what hydrogen production technology is going to win, and it's different regionally. So we're developing, we want to bring to scale economically, safely, and so we're working on all of those technologies. As a company, we've committed to almost $1 billion in this energy transition investments over the next decade. So I'm very excited about that.
Bill, what do you want to see more of that will help the world toward net zero?
I think one of the things we talked about on our panel session today is education of the general public, because we're doing a lot of great things. And I think having those conversations of being pragmatic, we can't just solve every problem with renewables today. Renewables are great, but it's not the only solution. It's like your 401k. You want to diversify, and you want to have a little bit of everything. And so that education of what we are doing, that collaboration of other ideas, how to get there, not one company or group's going to figure it all out. I think we have to work together with a common goal, and the general public's got to be in the car with us, going along and understanding what's in it for them. We can't just drive. We can't say we want clean, but now the cost of your electricity is double. That's not feasible and sustainable. So we've got to come down those cost curves with the innovation, and we've got to explain to the general public, you and I, what our electricity bill is going to be like with these new clean solutions and technologies.
So, Bill, you said that Mitsubishi is committed to net zero by 2040. Yes. What about the rest of the world? Are you optimistic that we can hit net zero by 2050? Is that realistic?
I think that's a really good question. And some of this demand, this huge demand growth that we have today, and we're focusing on solving that problem with 24/7 clean generation, I think we have a path. There could be some delays in that overall, net zero by 2050, but we have to start somewhere, and I do think we're starting. Many companies are working on this together, and I think it's bringing it to scale in time, and it's bringing it to scale economically in time. And so I'm not guaranteeing we'll be there by 2050, but I think we're on a good start, and we need to collaborate more, and it's hard to pick what technologies are going to work today, but we're fully committed to it, and I'm looking forward to, working together with teams to make it happen.
Bill, thank you very much indeed. We appreciate your time with us and for sharing what Mitsubishi is doing.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.